What kind of parent do you really want to be? Your own parenting style now or in the future will be largely shaped by how you were raised and whether you want to parent in that same way. In this video, we'll look at the three main parenting styles, how they operate, and their impact on children. Remember, above all else, a loving relationship with your child is what's important. Kids tend to thrive when parents are warm and loving and provide clear guidance and support. They're also obviously more likely to listen and respect you when they are feeling understood. There are three broad parenting styles. Many parents use a combination of these, possibly being tougher than usual when they're stressed, or more permissive than usual when they're exhausted. But ultimately, we tend to align with and use one main style most often. Authoritarian style, otherwise known as the rock. Permissive style, known as the paper parent. And finally, the more supportive style, or the tree, as it's sometimes known. Let's start with the rock. This style of parenting is mostly hard and inflexible. Authoritarian parents often focus on unquestioning obedience, strict rules, and enforce harsh punishments when their directions aren't followed. These parents sometimes think they need to be tough on their children, so they'll learn important family values and life lessons. Children with authoritarian parents can be more anxious, believe they're loved more if they do what their parent says, or behave the way they want them to behave at all times, have less self-confidence and lower self-esteem, be less independent, be more easily influenced by their peers, reject their parents and their values for a time once they hit the teenage years. Now, the paper parent. Permissive parents are also sometimes known as helicopter parents. Someone who parents this way often gives in to their children to keep the peace, and they like to rescue or save them from anything that might be hard or upsetting. This can mean their children may be less able to deal with frustration or disappointment, become overly dependent and insecure, struggle to develop persistence and problem-solving skills, be less confident in their own decision-making, behave less considerately, and be more likely to blame others for their problems. Some parents might take this approach because their parents had an authoritarian style, and they simply want their kids to have a happier childhood than they did. And finally, the tree. This style of parenting is firm but fair. Authoritative parents set limits and expect children to stick to them, but they can be adjusted over time as needed. These parents respond to their children's needs and listen to their views. Tree parents let their children know what their expectations are and have reasonable consequences if that's not what happens. They also acknowledge and praise good behavior. Children of authoritative parents tend to respect others more, be self-motivated, have good self-esteem, and know what they want while happily figuring out how to get it. It's important to acknowledge that most parents use a mixture of these three styles, depending on how they're feeling at the time. It's a good idea to think about how you were parented, both the good and the not so good, how you want to parent your child, the way in which you interact with your child now, and the ways you manage this, how this might feel to your child, or how you think your child sees you now. Whether you want to or even might need to, change what you're doing to make sure your child has good memories of their early life and grows up to be a happy and capable adult. Ultimately, parenting is hard, and no one gets it right all the time. Being able to evaluate yourself and be honest in your assessment goes a long way to lasting positive change. Keep doing your best. We believe in you.